Brad Johnson here from johnson.audio, and we are here to write your own song. Today we are going to talk about the verse. In the previous video, we spoke about what kind of songwriter you are, and now we're actually going to kind of dive into the nuts and bolts a little bit about what the verse looks like and how you should go about crafting it. Now the verse is especially the first verse, is going to be the setup of the song. This is where you're kind of going to lay the foundation. You're going to create the scene. Think about it in just like literary sense. You know, when you start any kind of book or writing, you kind of want to just invite the audience into a place. And I think that a lot of great songs do this. It's going to, be just the introduction to the message of what you're trying to deliver. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite songs ever, which is Bob Dylan's The Girl from North Country on his Freewheeling Bob Dylan album. It's also found in Nashville Skyline, and he does that with Johnny Cash. It's an absolutely amazing song. I love it. It's kind of a funny one to use as an example for the verse of a song because the song doesn't really have the traditional structure, but he does an amazing job, I feel like, setting the scene that just, automatically transports you into his world and his message. And so the first verse of his song goes, "If you're traveling in the North Country Fair, where the winds hit heavy on the borderline, remember me to one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine." And I just love that. It's just, to me, so poetic. Bob Dylan grew up in Duluth, Minnesota. I was actually born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I just, that whole scenery, it just travels to a place in my own story. And just amazing that those lyrics were written back in the 60s and they still just ring true today, which just goes to show about how great of a songwriter Bob Dylan is. And so let's just pick that apart a little bit. He first sets up in the first two stanzas in that particular line the kind of the scenery that if you're traveling in the North Country Fair, so it's just kind of like, hey, if you happen to be in this particular location, listen to what I have to say. And you never know when you might actually be traveling there, or, so it's just kind of a cool little like, hey, here, if this is you, come and listen. And it says, and then he kind of gives a little description of that whole area of where the winds hit heavy on the borderline. Just kind of gives you that sense of it being cold, being in the winter. Like he's kind of just writing from this place of just, nostalgia and like, hey, like if you're traveling there, where the winds hit heavy on the borderline, and kind of just really brings you into that zone. Like, okay, like you can feel the writer in this, but you don't really know exactly what the message is yet. And it's in the next two lines where he answers that question right away, and that is, remember me to one who lives there. She was once a true love of mine. And you think to yourself, wow, like, okay, so in the first few seconds of the song, you now know you are now invited into scenery. It's kind of cold. It's in the North Country. You kind of get this sense of just this guy saying, hey, and then the next one, remember me. Like, tell this person, find this person that was once important to me. I haven't seen them in forever. Find them because they once were a true love of mine. And that just takes you into this whole entire universe of just this guy asking, trying to just be nostalgic, thinking back on this person. And, it draws you in. And now you go, okay, like, what else is there? And he continues onto this song. He continues through this song to just describe the lady, describe, just the way that he just longed, and he kind of almost like looks back fondly on this person. And obviously it didn't go well because he's not with that person anymore, but I just feel like how often in our lives, it's like, think about like that true love, like that first love, like you can relate with that, but the way that he just brings you into that universe through that first opening line, the way that he delivers just a piece of that message of why it's important that you listen, or why it's important that he's giving this message, he does so awesome in that first line. So where that leaves us and leaves you as a songwriter thinking about writing your first verse is you want to think in terms of how are you going to set the scene, and then how are you going to let people know why it is that you why they should listen to you, or what is it you have to give them, and giving them that peace. Because it's like, if it's just all about you, or if it's just all about me, they're going to lose interest really quickly. What's in it for them? If I were to be sitting here in front of you, say, if I was just talking about myself the entire time, you wouldn't want to listen. You'd be like, I'm out of here. This person's all about him. There's nothing in it for you, nothing in it for me. So as a songwriter, you got to remember that you are to write a song, and you are serving a song, and you are developing and crafting a message that is going to go out into the world, and people are going to engage with that message, and they're going to take it and put it into their own life, and they're going to then carry on this journey that we call life with that song. And that is going to become a part of them, and it's going to become a part of their story. It's going to become a part of their experience. So give them a reason to do that, and it's going to all happen in that first hook in the verse. People always say the chorus is the message, and it's the most important part, but if they never make it to the chorus, like, we have such short attention spans these days that if the first part of the verse doesn't just hook them and get them going, okay, I want to listen a little bit more, I want to hear where this is going to go, then it doesn't matter. And so the first verse is very, very important. Again, we're talking about words here. We're talking about lyrics. We're not really talking about melody or just the arrangement of a song. That is also super, super important. But right now, in writing your own song, I feel like the biggest hang-up a lot of musicians have is when it comes to lyrics. It comes to what is it they're actually going to say. I feel like a lot of musicians don't have that big of a problem writing out chords or writing out little melodies and stuff. I feel like they always are hung up on the lyrics, myself included. People that I've worked with, it's always kind of the biggest hang up. If that's not a hang up for you, consider yourself blessed and lucky, because that is just something that I feel like is the hardest part of songwriting, is the lyrical content. And so, I talk about in previous videos that you just need to write, so you don't have that writer's block, that you always have something to pull from. But really, in the first verse, you really want to think about setting up that, setting the stage and giving the listener a little bit about the message that they're going to experience or get from the song in that first few moments. And there's so many other examples I could give to you, but I just love The Girl from North Country. That song just resonates with me in a very strong way, so I just wanted to share that as my example. I will leave a link below to that song. You should definitely check it out if you've never listened to it. Bob Dylan is just one of those guys who just continued to just change the game with his songwriting. He never wanted to fit into the mold, and he's done it all. So you could listen to his discography for the rest of your life and discover new stuff, and especially when it comes to the art of songwriting. So I really hope that this song or this video has encouraged you a little bit to start thinking about how to craft your verse. We're going to move into chorus in the next section of this series, and I look forward to doing that with you. Please leave me a comment, please subscribe, like the video. It helps me get the word out on how to do this, and to just help you just become a better songwriter, so that way we can have better music in this world. We have better teachers in the form of song for people to grab onto and make sense of this thing called life. That is the responsibility that we carry as songwriters. It is an awesome responsibility. It is a hard responsibility, and that's why I created this channel, to help you and know that you aren't alone, and we can journey on this together. Hope you have a great day. We'll talk soon.